So, I remember, about 2 years ago, we had the idea of putting this album on a live tour together, but quite honestly, it had been a long, long time since we'd done this album, and I wasn't sure if it would ever work again. So I called about 5 or 6 promoters that I know around the world, and I said, do you think that after all this time doing this record again, do you think it'll work? Well, that's what they said. Until I got to the last guy. And he says, okay, so you're going to do this record in its entirety, right? And I said, yep. He says, but you are going to do it in the same exact running order like it is on the album, right? And I said, no. And he says, you have to. And I said, no, I don't. He says, yeah, you do. I said, no, I don't. He goes, yes, you have to do it. Yes, you do. No, I don't. Yes, you do. This goes on for 10 minutes. And finally, he says, all right, let me give you something maybe you can understand. He says, somehow, some way, a miracle happens, and Led Zeppelin gets back together. That was my reaction. And he says, and they are going to do Zeppelin 4 in its entirety. They're going to start that show with Stairway to Heaven. And I said, all right, you got me by the balls, so we're going to do it the way you want.